Greetings. So basically what I'm going to be doing is explaining the difference between a minor, natural minor scale, a harmonic minor scale, and talk to you a little bit about pentatonic scale, its applications in both Eastern music and Western music. Let's start with the A minor scale. What we have here actually are 7 notes. I know I said there's 12 notes in equal temperament Western tuning. When I was talking about is if you count all the half steps along the way. So in other words, we do what's called a chromatic scale. We start on A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But when all those 12 notes are broken up into scales of their own, like for instance we start here, C minor, C sharp minor, what you actually get for each one are 7 equally tuned notes as far as separation from each other. And that works for every single note of the scale. So we're going to start with A because it has no sharps and flats and it's easier to understand. So our 7 notes, we have 1, it's A, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it repeats. And that's what's called an octave. If you had like Arabic music, instead of there just being A and then B flat, there'd be another note in between those because that's what's called half-step tuning. Half tone. And that would basically double the length of any given scale before you get to a note that repeats, and that's what I was talking about. So let's go with the natural minor scale. You'll hear a lot of tunes based in A minor, including the ever popular A. Also see what I'm doing when I hit this chord? I'm hitting what I was referring to in the forum as the leading tone. It's a half step down from tonic, or it's also known as your first degree of the scale. What happens with a harmonic minor scale is that the only sharp or flat or the only alteration you use is that leading tone, and if you look at it in the form of degrees it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What would otherwise be 7 becomes sharp 7, so G sharp, and then A. So that's why when you get into Arabic music you get this sort of a sound. That's what you're hearing. When I was talking about that gap, I'm talking about between the 6 and the 7. You get a whole step and a half gap. So you have, you know, that's the kind of gap that typifies Arabic sounding music. Now when we're talking about the pentatonic scale, the only difference between its use in Oriental music and Western music is whether it's major or minor. For instance, pentatonic means you have 5 notes in the scale. That's it. Not 7, not 8, you have 5 notes. So let's start with C. It's simple to understand because there's no sharps or flat in that either for major. It's actually the relative major to A's minor. So we have C, D, E. That's 1, 2, 3. Then we have 5 and 6. We skip to 5 and 6. That's pentatonic. We don't use the 4th and we don't use the 7th. We use 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, or 5th and 6th. So what you'll hear a lot of times is this. The flip side of that is the minor pentatonic scale, and all we have to do actually is turn it into A, because like I said, A is the relative minor to C. We're going to be using the exact same notes, but in minor it sounds like this. You hear that all the time in rock music. In fact, it's the basis for the solo to Stairway to Heaven. Now when we get to American blues music, the only thing differently you do with that pentatonic scale, when it's in minor at least, is you add a flat 5. Every note is the same, but we add a flat 5. 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 5. Flat means down. It could also be sharp 4. Sharp means up by a half step as well. So you'll hear this kind of thing. A lot of times that'll be accompanied by the minor seventh or minor major seventh chord, and that's when you would also get into the leading tone thing. If we flip that over, what's used in American bebop music, like the stuff you would have heard in the early 50s, is actually a major blues scale, and the only difference between that and the minor blues scale is that you move it up to C. So what happens is we use the exact same notes, except this is now called a flat third because we're starting here. So you have 1, 2, 3, flat 3. That's an E flat. You hear that all the time in Western pop music. And that's basically the basis for the distinction between Oriental music and Western pop music. It's just the added notes. And you see, in the major scale, major blues, that's a flat third. We use the exact same notes. If we start here, though, on A, and it becomes a minor, that's a flat 5. So there you go. It's all relative. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to be with you next time. Goodbye.